Hey guys, welcome to Conversations and Libations with Adora. I do have on the same thing I had on in my last video. I decided might as well make 2 videos in one night so I can keep giving you guys consistent content. So I'm still drinking the same thing. I have my Crown Royal with my Korean mango juice. So today's video, I thought that we would talk a little bit about women's wellness and in particular fibroids. And I hope this video will help you if you have fibroids, be informative, help calm you if you're going to be having surgery, because I had surgery. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. So I was diagnosed with fibroids when I was 34, 35. So I remember I was diagnosed in December and I had 5 fibroids. They were the size of lemons. And at that time, I didn't really have any symptoms or anything like that. But I always do my annual, like, I'm the type of person, I go to the doctor for everything. So I'm always at the doctor because I'm just paranoid. But they were doing, if you are a woman, you've been to the gynecologist, sometimes they'll press on your belly, like the bottom of your abdomen, and they are feeling for fibroids. And apparently they were able to feel. And so I ended up having to have a vaginal ultrasound, which, oh my goodness, it's so uncomfortable. And they were able to actually see the fibroids. And at that time, it was 5 of them. They were the size of lemons. So since they weren't really bothering me like that, my doctor said, we're not going to do anything. We're not really going to do a treatment plan. We will just monitor them. Well, 6-7 months later, I go back for my checkup and they went from lemons to the size of melons. So they were growing extremely fast. Now, I kind of think that it had something to do with the birth control, because sometimes when you have fibroids and you have heavy bleeding and stuff like that, they'll give you birth controls. But from what I understand, birth control can kind of speed up the fibroids. So I'm not sure why they were growing so fast. Now, there's not a lot known about fibroids. So they don't really know exactly what causes fibroids. But from what I've read and what my doctor told me, they think it's things like meat, because a lot of our meat has steroids and antibiotics in them, sugar, stuff like that. So, and I love sugar. So my doctor was just like, now ever since then, when I get my meat, I make sure it's grass fed. It doesn't have any antibiotics or anything like that. Now, some say that fibroids can also be genetic. So for me, my mom has had fibroids. She's had 2 or 3 different surgeries. One of my cousins on my dad's side has had fibroids. One of my cousins on my mom's side has fibroids. So naturally, I had fibroids. Now, when I first found out that I had fibroids, I remember crying. I called my dad and my mom. I was so scared. And then the more I read up on it, and I also joined this support group on Facebook, Other Women Dealing with Fibroids. Guys, if you have fibroids, it's nothing to be afraid of. You're not going to die. It's not cancer. If anything, it's just, it can make your life a living hell, depending on your symptoms. So some symptoms of fibroids could be heavy bleeding, irregular periods, long periods. So right before I had my surgery, my cycle came on and it stayed on for 35 days straight. So I was so thankful that I was scheduled to have my surgery, because I'm like, I can't deal. And I know people who've been bleeding for like 6 months straight. Also, sometimes, depending on where the fibroids are located, sometimes you can't really lay on your stomach because you can kind of feel them pressing. So if you have any of those type of symptoms or anything like that, just make sure your doctor, feels for fibroids and tests you for fibroids, whatever. So there's a few different ways to remove fibroids. So what was best for me, because of where my fibroids were located and how many they were and how big they were, it was best for me to get an open myomectomy. Now, an open myomectomy is like the most invasive surgery you can have outside of a hysterectomy. So the difference between a myomectomy and a hysterectomy is both you get a C-section cut, so hip to hip, and they remove the fibroids, but you keep your uterus with a myomectomy. With a hysterectomy, of course, they remove the uterus. Now, some doctors will tell you you cannot have a myomectomy, you can't do nothing but get a hysterectomy. No, always get a second opinion, okay? Because I was young at the time, I was 35, and my doctor was like, no, I don't care if you want kids or not, we're not doing no hysterectomy on you. You're gonna keep your uterus. Now, the con about a myomectomy is, like 9 times out of 10, your fibroids are gonna come back. So a lot of people who've had myomectomies, they've had like 2 or 3 of them, okay? My fibroids haven't come back yet, but sometimes after a year, they start growing back. Sometimes after 2 years, they start growing back. So when you are thinking about what kind of surgery you want to have, you got to think about that. Like, do you want to continuously possibly have to get surgery? Now, they could come back and they're really small, and then, you know, they're not causing you any type of issues, no excessive bleeding or anything like that, so you're fine. So you have to think about that. But for me, they were causing a lot of discomfort. They were causing really, really bad cramps where I couldn't go to work and stuff like that. So I'm like, these have to go. So, UFE, uterine fibroid immobilization, I think. I don't have any notes, guys. I'm doing this from the dome. But that is a surgery, and I think now with that is not invasive at all, but it doesn't really have a great success rate. My mom had that, and she was like, nope, trash, don't do that, because it don't really work. And I have a few friends who've had that done, and they're almost in worse positions than before they did that. So I think with the UFE, they try to cut off the blood supply, because that's what the fibroids feed off of. They feed off of blood, and that's how they grow. So they feed off the blood supply. So I think they like cut the blood supply or something like that, and eventually the fibroids are supposed to shrink. But the bad thing is they don't really shrink. So be careful with that too. Like, explore your options. Now, you can have a laparoscopic myomectomy or a robotic myomectomy where you don't have to get cut from hip to hip. So it's not a C-section cut, but I think it's kind of like a little, I don't know how they do it, but they do like a few little cuts, and they can cut them up and remove them. I have a friend that's had that. But like I said, for me, mine were big. So, my doctor who diagnosed me with fibroids, she was not my surgeon. So there's another surgeon who actually owns and runs the women's clinic, or whatever you want to call it, the doctor's office. She's the one that did my surgery. So of course I could choose any surgeon that I wanted, but I had a conversation with my doctor, which my doctor was Black, and pretty much all the staff there were Black. And my doctor kept it real with me. She was like, listen, you know, when it comes to healthcare, Black women really suffer. You know, for some reason, people think that we can take more pain than any other races. So when we're in the hospital having a baby or whatever, a lot of us get close to death. A lot of us don't get the medication that we need because they feel like we're stronger than that. You know, they may not listen to us. And she was like, I'm going to be quite honest with you. She was like, you know, when you have surgery, you have to sign a form. And basically you sign a form saying that if anything goes wrong, or for some reason they cannot get the fibroids out there in a weird place or something, then they can take your uterus out and you'll wake up with a hysterectomy. So my doctor was like, there are some doctors who don't care, who, oh, it's too hard, I'm gonna just take out her hysterectomy because we don't care anyway. She's this Black woman, who cares? My doctor was like, listen, I don't care how difficult this surgery is for me, where your fibroids are located. If I have to spend 10 hours, okay, to take my time to get these fibroids out, you are going to wake up with your uterus and have the option to have kids if you want. And that's what I did. And I trusted a Black woman. So, so that was, you know, good. I felt good about that. But you guys, I was really freaking nervous about the surgery. I was so nervous about the surgery, and I was watching Google, watching YouTube, and I really couldn't find anyone really talking about it. And I wish I would have like vlogged like from beginning to end, but child, you be under so much distress after that surgery. So I'm just gonna kind of tell you guys about it. So I think for me, it wasn't really the surgery that I was scared of, being cut. Now, I've never had surgery or anything before, but for me, it was the anesthesia. Like, I was afraid to be put to sleep. And then when I talked to the anesthesiologist, and she was like, really, we just say put to sleep because that's the only way we can explain it. But really, when you get put to sleep, you're in a coma and you have a breathing tube to help you breathe. And your anesthesiologist has to know what they're doing because there's a certain amount of medicine they have to give you. So A, you will end up waking up, when it wears off. They don't give you too much. And B, they give you enough to where you won't wake up in the middle of surgery. So I was terrified. So normally if you're going to have surgery, you are going to, go to pre-surgery where you talk to your anesthesiologist, let them know your concerns. So my anesthesiologist, she was a Black woman. I got to choose my hospital. I went to one of the best hospitals in my city, which was downtown. And I told her my fears, and I told her that I have really bad anxiety. And my biggest fear is freaking having crazy anxiety. Y'all give me this medicine and I have a freaking heart attack, okay, while I'm in a coma. So I'm like, can y'all give me something, Valium or something? And I don't know if they gave me Valium. I think they did, but she was like, don't worry, we'll give you something to calm your nerves. And it's going to be the best sleep of your life. So I remember the night before my surgery, I could not sleep at all. And my boyfriend at the time, he was there for me. So I had to be at the hospital at like 6 o'clock. And I just remember walking into the hospital and crying. I was so scared. So checked in, everything. I met the whole staff, and they were, I met my surgeon, my nurses, and everybody. And they're like, we're a big family here. We're going to take care of you. You're going to be fine. So they were like, okay, they gave me my IV or whatever, and they put something in the IV. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I was high as hell in like 2.5 seconds. Y'all, I felt so good. You hear me? I remember telling the nurse, oh my God, what is this? I'm on cloud 9 right now. Do you guys sell this? Like, this feels so good. Now, mind you, I'm very sensitive to drugs. Like, I've done edibles twice in my life, and both times, if I didn't have somebody there with me, I would have called the police on myself. And I was begging them to call the police. So I can't, do drugs. But that one was a good drug. And you guys, I remember kind of being wheeled out, and that was it. I don't remember nothing else. It was like I was out. And my surgeon actually told me that you were still awake, because they have to make sure you're awake, when they do the breathing tube and stuff like that. And they told me, like, we got to stick the tube all the way down, so you might wake up with a sore throat. They said I was awake in the surgery room, but y'all, I swear I don't remember it. I guess I was so high, and it really is the best sleep of your life. So the surgery ended up being 6 hours long, and I actually have pictures of my fibroids. They were big. So the surgery was 6 hours long, and I remember, so when you wake up out of anesthesia, you're really groggy, like you wake up really slow. And I just remember being in the bed and being wheeled into an elevator. And I remember telling the dude, yo, don't you hit no walls, don't you hit nothing, okay? Because I have just been cut. If anybody had a C-section, you want a vaginal birth. That's another thing. Since I've had a C-section cut to remove the fibroids, my doctor told me that I cannot have a natural birth. So if I ever have kids, it's going to have to be via a C-section. So got to the room or whatever. My family was there. My best friend was there. My boyfriend at the time was there. And at this time, I'm really still groggy. I'm like not all the way there. Things are foggy. And then the nurse proceeds to tell me, okay, we need you to lift yourself to get into the other bed. I guess sometimes they put you in the other bed, but it was like, scoot yourself over. And I looked at him. I sobered up real quick, y'all. I woke up real quick. I was like, what? I have just been cut in half. Are you serious? Y'all, that was the most painful thing ever. So I ended up being in the hospital for 3 days. I had a morphine pump and I kept pressing because I was in so much pain. And the nurse had to explain to me, listen, drugs, morphine, Percocet, that does not get rid of the pain. It just makes the pain bearable. I was like, I want this pain gone. So also, after you get your myomectomy, the best thing for you to do is walk. It's very, very, very hard to walk. And you guys, you don't understand that you use your abs to do everything. You use your abs to get out the bed. But when your muscles have been cut through, you guys, I can't explain to you the kind of pain. Like, it's hard to do anything. So, also, the biggest problem a lot of women have after this type of surgery is gas. And gas will bring you to your knees, okay? Thankfully, I didn't have gas. But if you're having this surgery, things that you want to take with you to the hospital, you definitely want to take you're going to be in a gown, but you definitely want to take you some big sweatpants. You want to take you some easily slide your feet into, because you're not going to be able to bend over and tie your shoes and all of that. Also, you want to take you a pillow, because getting up, you're going to need that pillow. Sitting in the car, so the seatbelt is not, pressing on you, you're going to need the pillow. Try not to have nobody funny around you, okay? Because you cannot cough or laugh, because you are going to be in pain. So if you need to cough or talk or possibly laugh, have your little pillow and press it against, okay? Because you just been cut. Also, what's going to help with gas is peppermint tea, ginger tea. That's also going to help with your gas, or chewing gum. That's going to help with gas as well. It's going to be hard to walk, but make sure you walk. So for me, I started walking the 3rd day. I would walk a little around the hospital. And then fast forward, my ex picked me up, took me home, and I was like, please be careful. Every little bump in the road, you are going to feel it. Again, if you've had a C-section, that's what an open myomectomy is going to feel like. And it took me about 6 weeks to heal, where I felt pretty much normal. Also, my stomach did kind of go down, because when you have fibroids, they can make your stomach stick out. So when those fibroids are removed, your stomach goes down. I did lose weight because I wasn't really eating like that. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. When it comes to working out and exercising, you got to be careful about that, because your muscles have been cut, and it's going to take a lot of time for them to heal back. So even a year and a half, it's been like 2 years since I had my surgery. And even sometimes when I try to do sit-ups, it is very, very, very painful. But that's because I haven't been working my muscles. So as soon as you get the clearance from your doctor to start exercising, of course you can do light exercising, but you don't want to do any heavy like sit-ups and ab stuff and stuff like that until maybe like 6-7 months. But walking strengthens your core, so the best thing you can do is walk. And yeah, it wasn't that bad. So I was freaking terrified. So if anyone has fibroids or you're about to have surgery, I hope this video helps you. It's amazing what the body can do. Let me tell you, like, you're going to be amazed at how your body heals. And it's like, for me, it's like I never had surgery before. Now I'm just praying to God that they don't grow back, because I'll have to have surgery again. But at least I'll know what to expect if I have to have surgery again. But if you guys have any questions about fibroids, or anything I may have left out about my experience, or if you want the information to the Facebook group, the fibroid support group, please leave a comment down below. Please subscribe, and please like this video, and I hope it was informative, and I hope I didn't bore you guys too bad. But if you stay to the end, huge thank you for staying to the end. Bye.